You know, as I was outlining this presentation, it completely slipped my mind that this month is what some people reserve as No Nut November. How many of you knew that? Regardless, this is as good a time as any to discuss what's going on here. First of all, No Nut November could mean something different for each person, but the popularity of it comes from people's desire to abandon pornography. So there is something that is happening right now that is leading us down a road of darkness. Little by little, and slowly but surely, we are being desensitized. We are being marched into the abyss. I'm going to show you guys a quick example of what I'm talking about. And this was just published. Catholic official criticizes Pope, calls for allowing clergy to watch porn. Pope Francis warned young priests against all forms of pornography during a conversation in Rome on Monday morning. But one Catholic leader is arguing not all pornography should be demonized. Now, when you hear that statement, you're probably thinking, what Catholic leader and what are they talking about, not all pornography? Bishop of Chur, Switzerland, Joseph Bonemain, supported the Pope's beliefs. Pornography can develop a high addictive potential. Especially young people are particularly at risk, he said in a translated statement published on Khaleej. However, prevention officer of the Diocese of Kirkcaldy spoke out against the all-encompassing language. She questioned what sexuality was granted to celibate people in the Catholic Church. I think for a church that's been around for this long, they have already defined what is granted to celibate people, something that is completely based on the honor system anyway. Instead of spiritual exaggeration, guilt, and fear-mongering of the devil, it would be interesting to learn from Pope Francis what sexuality he grants celibate people, she said in a report by Khaleej. Aiton said child pornography and pornography which exploits people should be forbidden, which Bonemain agreed with. However, Aiton said legal pornography was a complete different category, and if it was produced under fair work conditions, it should not be demonized across the board. The opportunities and risk of consumption can only be talked about openly if it does not argue with blanket fear-mongering and guilt pressure, with the reference to the devil, Aiton said, according to a translation. So, that's the world you live in, folks. And some people have no idea how deep this goes. I challenge any one of you to go this month without any sexual stimulation, period. And after about 28 days or so, I guarantee you'll see the devil in people. The very first thing that we have to now consider, everyone, is that over the past few years, we have been desensitized by death. If you think back when the illnesses first started making waves and spreading out, people reacted to the loss of life in a certain manner. And from that point on, every single day, we were being fed high numbers of deaths. Then, you and I started hearing about people we know falling ill. And then some of us started losing friends or family members. And of course, we all go through the process of being sorry and giving our condolences. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I had someone close to me pass recently myself. So in the past, a person who just lost someone they knew would normally need like a day or a few days to process the loss. And you think the other person they are talking to would be considering that. But instead, these days, only minutes after this is announced, people change the subject. Due to our exposure to this type of media, it is causing a loss of sensitivity to death and violence. I'm not talking about watching horror movies all day or video games, no. This is more about real events that affect real people on many levels. It seems that people's empathy towards each other is becoming more cognitive than emotional, reacting based upon how you think a person should react instead of reacting based on how you truly feel. I can tell you folks that all the mask wearing and social distancing was part of the process of desensitization. Now, throughout all of this, there has been no shortage of sexual content. On almost all major platforms, you name it, it's there. Let me share a few stats with you. This actually comes from a research report from Bravehearts at bravehearts.org. An overview of research on the impact that viewing pornography has on children, preteens, and teenagers. This is under exposure and access. Statistical facts. A range of statistical evidence demonstrates the prominence and commonality of the exposure and access children, preteens, and teenagers have to pornography. After gathering information from a variety of American surveys, Guardchild reported that 90% of children from age 8 to 16 claimed to have viewed pornography on the internet. Internationally, between 75% and 90% of teenagers living in developed countries saw pornography on the internet before turning 18. In Australia, it has been found that 93% of males between the ages of 13 and 16 and 62% of females have viewed pornography on the internet. Many other sources report similar results, indicating that a high percentage of the young population have been exposed to and had access to pornographic material, approximately after reaching the age of 10. So, the point is, this is affecting our youth. It is. Children are out there being exposed to this more often than we think. And see, the thing is, people do not realize how this type of content affects the brain. I've talked about how dopamine, the pleasure chemical, works with stuff before. And more people are walking around drained because of the overload of stimulation. And see, it's not just X-rated content, guys. You can just scroll through Instagram. There's going to be someone in a bikini. There's going to be someone, probably someone you know, with their boobs up in the camera. Then you have apps like Snapchat. If you open up a snap from somebody you don't know, you have to open that thing in the closet. You never know what these people are going to send you. You can't open it in front of other people. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about. Now, this research report also goes over the impact this has on young minds. This increases the likelihood that young people will engage in sexual behaviors that mimic what they see on the internet. the more explicit the content they see, the more likely they will be to accept such behaviors. You see? Then it goes into how certain attitudes develop as a result of this exposure. Another detrimental attitudinal outcome is that young viewers between the ages of 13 and 18 have been found to see sex as a purely physical experience. Similarly, young people can begin to approve of prostitution, endorse loveless and affectionless sexual relations, and can begin to be more contemptuous toward love. Endorsing the view of women as sexual beings is a problematic outcome of frequently viewing pornography. And this is true. See, what happens is someone frequently engaging in this content will often walk around. For example, if he is a man that is attracted to women, he will unintentionally walk around and see almost every woman as a sexual object. This causes all types of problems because he can't control it because of the nature of the content he exposes himself to. It leads to anxiety issues, erectile dysfunction. There are other things that it does. It blinds you in a way. But this happens over time, so it feels natural to him. Although it can be problematic in some cases, he doesn't really understand what's going on. Although he might suspect that it's the X-rated content, but it's a bit deeper. A big part of it comes from the chemicals released, especially if he engages in masturbation. The same goes for women. It's just as simple as that. People don't think this is a big deal until they stop. Which brings us to the concept of what the internet has termed NoFap, meaning no sexual stimulation, no masturbation, no visual stimulation. The idea is to hold in that energy. There's a whole movement of people who do this much longer than a month. Let me tell you guys a story. I wasn't going to tell you, but I don't care. I've done, or I should say, I have been doing this for some time now. If you are single, you really don't have anyone to stop you from taking a break from sexual activity. Well, let me tell you my experience without giving away too many details. So let's say for the past few months, maybe 5 or 6 months, I've been practicing this and researching it heavy. Now, what I'm about to tell you comes from my own experience, other people's testimonies, and the research I have done. Now, when you consciously make the decision to stop all and any stimulation, your mind tells your body, hey, that thing between your legs, we're not going to be using that anymore. Shut down all systems. So now, this initially causes you to think about sex just a little bit more because you are kind of doing a cold turkey thing. So you have cravings that could be subtle or strong depending on what stimulation you encounter. Sometimes you could be busy and not think of it at all. But when the moment comes that a strong sensation comes over you, you know in your mind that you cannot release that energy. You have to now use that fuel, that energy for something else. Now, the truth is, in the beginning, you don't really notice anything different except that you have to consciously resist masturbation or sex, and you have to go about your life. Now, again, this may or may not make a big difference until after a couple of weeks or longer, when you hit the flat line. The flat line happens to almost all recovering addicts. This is when your brain is trying to rewire itself. So it shuts you down. You fall into a slump. You are not attracted to anyone. You are not turned on by anything. You don't feel the drive or ambition or motivation to do anything. You are actually going through an addict's withdrawal symptoms. For men, the genitalia shrinks, like you just came out of the pool. You're laughing, but this is how serious of an issue this is. When your body makes these crazy changes just from abstaining from sexual stimulation. They say it increases testosterone. I have not seen the paperwork to prove that, but I will say this. It definitely increases your energy, and it will make your voice a bit deeper if you're a man. Your skin and hair will look and feel better, and you will really want to move around. But aside from just the physical effects, it has some very profound effects as well. You become quite emotional. It will not take much to trigger you. This is a warning, by the way. If you're around people while you're doing this, just know that you can have some unexpected emotions emerge if the conditions are right. You will start to become more sensitive to other things that may give you a dopamine rush. So you will actually have more awareness of what exactly is stimulating you, and you didn't even realize it before. People will sense this about you. And people, men, women, all types of people will seem to be more attracted to you because you are holding in that energy. And you're not all depleted like other people. Oh, there is a spiritual side to this. You see, after some time, you won't see people as sexual objects. You will see people as just people. And when someone attractive does walk by, you won't care. And something else happens. You can sense the demons. Because trust me, once you start that journey, they will send you all types of people to take you off that journey. And women or men, depending on who you are, they will come to tempt you. You will see the devil in people. You will be able to sense it. You will be able to smell it. In a manner of speaking, you will be able to see the demons following them. That's all for now, folks. We will come back to this topic another time. I did want to express the importance of taking note that we are in a time that if we go down that road to allowing these things to spread throughout the masses and our youth without control, we will end up as another Sodom and Gomorrah. Be sure to visit woodwardentertainment.com and the Woodward Entertainment store. Links are in the description box below. You can also follow me on Instagram at JAEWoodward. Everyone have a great and fulfilling day. And until next time, as always, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.